Alright, time for another DraftPhysics.com video presentation. Ooh, I has posed this before. For what purpose? There's obviously no working brains available, in this audience. They just don't function very well. So there's really no point in talking because I'm just talking to something as dumb as wind, really. It appears. Okay. But this isn't even close to a rational circumstance. Okay, so apparently all these dupes now believe in some new theory that they think is an old theory. This 1.4 theory, square root of 2 theory, right? And doesn't mean anything. It has no references in physics. There's no connection between the square root of 2, 1.4, and momentum. No physics instructor teaches it. It's not in any physics book. It's not a theory. No one argues it connected to springs anywhere on planet Earth. There's no one talking about springs and then explaining how there's this 1.4 thing that happens. There's no theory. It doesn't exist except in deluded single moron minds. I don't know who mentioned it first, Mindless Marvels or Puro, or who said it first, but I mean, there's no references to it being a physics concept. It doesn't exist as a physics concept. And here I have to argue it. I mean, this is insane. Okay. So JPG says, all right, I haven't seen the video yet, but I did get Puro to comment on the 1.4 thing. So that's what we're calling it. We can't call it something because it's just the 1.4 thing. It's not a thing. It's just crap. Here is his remarks. And so he says, it's the square root of 2. Yeah, okay, fine. So what does that mean? Why should that be significant to anybody? The square root of 2, square root of 4, square root of 568? Why should that be at all significant to anyone? Why should anyone think the square root of 2 is a magical number? Now, the only thing that is a little bit magical in the sense that the square root of 2 essentially is 1 1/3. Okay, so it goes back to the Professor Lewin thing. I mean, 0.7 is pretty close to 0.6666, right? So it's close to 1/3. So that's the thing that's a little bit significant, and that's what I discovered in the Professor Lewin video, is the third thing. Okay, anyway. Because the v is squared, so because we use the number 2. Now, physics could have used anything, right? Like, they like to use lambdas, and they use forky thing, they use all kinds of, theta, they use all kinds of little symbols. They could have used this symbol for square, they could have even just done pluses, and, but because they use the number 2, okay, he thinks that now if you take the square root of the number 2, that somehow that has something to do with when you multiply 7 times 7. So when I multiply 7 times 7, there's a secret inside of that, where if I do the square root of 2, because there's 2 numbers, that'll tell me something. When of course it can't tell you anything. Okay, it's meaningless. So anyway, because the v is squared, when you solve for it, you end up taking the square root. Yes, it would make sense if you're saying you took the square root of the number you squared. But to take the square root of 2, how does that solve? Your number is 47 times 47. And you're saying there's a deep hidden square root of 2 secret in there. No, there can't. That's just babble. I mean, this is babble. Okay? It's so silly. So anyway, you end up taking the square root of 2, not the square root of the number you got when you squared the number. No, the square root of 2. Somehow the square root of 2 always tells you. Okay, it's what happens if you solve for v in the kinetic energy formula. Well, show me that somewhere. Show me somewhere where somebody says, yes, lighter things go 1.4 the velocity. Show me. Or else quit playing this silly whatever. This is worse than a flat earth. I mean, there's just no connection to anything real here at all. He doesn't have any sources. Zero sources. There's no way to legitimize this. There's no Wikipedia page. There's no anything to argue with except his religion. This is so pathetic. Anyway, so Sean something or other. Okay, but we don't need his remarks. We need this experiments. I should say his research conclusions done by reputable physicists. Where is this 1.4 experiment that they claim they have? Where's the experiment? Where's the theory? Where's a paragraph of text explaining why square root of 2ing will give you some sort of answer to something? They say this stuff but don't back up their claims. They just keep spewing nonsense and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm just saying this is just pointless. I mean, I'm having an argument with a completely unestablished theory. A theory that has no backing at all, except they say so. All right, so this I and M guy, fuck you. Okay, yeah, you're done here. All right, this is such horseshit. On the very video where I explained, he says this crap. Okay, so he says, what do you disagree with in terms of the latest Stephen Bro trolley spring experiment? Well, I already explained how half the experiments were using gravity mechanisms to create variable velocity, which is retarded. Okay, yeah. And that he deliberately attempted to create twice the velocity with these mechanisms. All right, and with the spring mechanism, I explained to you that if the spring is attached to the device, it's suspect. And I explained why it's suspect. So why are you saying this shit, you fucking idiot? On the very video where I explained it to you. So I actually have to draw it again? I'm not doing that. I'm not going to insult the rest of the audience because you're insufferably biased and blind. All right, anyway. Seems like an incredible coincidence. It's 1/3. I already pointed out how the Professor Lewin video creates a 1/3 paradox also, in the other direction. Right, where you're creating all this extra momentum. So it's not that incredible a coincidence. Professor Lewin puts a spring, okay, on, what did he use in that experiment? Does anybody remember? What did he put the springs on that he collided into each other? I just don't remember. The cars, those little air track cars. Yeah. So he put springs on them, okay? And Bro's experiment has springs on the car. You see the connection that might exist there? Huh? Fuckhead? Anyway. Seems like incredible coincidence that it'd come out to 1.4. So you don't understand how there's lots of coincidences in reality. See, there's a little tiny bit of a coincidence with the whole wave thing, and wave tanks with slits and then light. But if you're at all clever, you realize, oh, there's no connection with a single slit, and there's no connection with the multi-slit. So it only works with the 2-slit. And then all the coincidence falls apart. Then all of a sudden, water doesn't behave like light. Ugh. Anyway, is the predicted result. Predicted by what theory? Again, you're defending something for which I have for weeks begged for you to provide any physics reference to this theory. And you think you can say this shit without doing that first. Explain why I should argue a theory that doesn't exist as a theory in physics. In a theory that no physicist defends. Zero. Oh, okay. If it was somehow flawed, yes, I pointed out the flaw. He's forcing the car to go twice as fast. Well, anyway, let's not even get into it. We see him measure the results out and average them. Yes, I said that in the video. That's what we see. And then I pointed out clearly to you, retard, that it creates a paradox. That the paradox is it's free energy. That you can just use this magical result to just keep making perpetually more momentum. Too stupid. He shows the mechanism. Yes. Well, he actually didn't show the mechanism, frankly. He really didn't show how he launches the spring or any of that stuff. He just shows, well, I compress the car and I lock it somehow and then I unlock it. We don't get to see the quick release mechanism at all. It all seems to add up, except for the fact that it creates free energy and, it doesn't add up. Oh, I haven't heard a reasonable objection to that one yet. So the very video this fucking retarded comment is on, I explain it. And again, he's asking me to do exactly the same thing all over again. First, explain how you can't use gravity devices to create variable velocity because gravity moves things at the same speed. And second, that there is some question about what the spring is attached to, making a big difference in what the outcome will be. And it seems kind of logical when you think about it that it wouldn't matter if the spring is attached to the slow thing or the spring is attached to the fast thing. And I explained all of that. And you just totally ignored it to say this crap. I haven't heard a reasonable objection. So you're saying my objection is unreasonable? It's unreasonable to say it might make a big difference what object you have the spring attached to, the one that's moving fast or the one that's moving slow. You don't think it's possible that that could make a difference? So fuck you. Ugh, god damn. I really hate this planet. I just hate it. Wow, you're a really patient and generous guy. Yeah, no, I want physics arguments. Are you making a physics argument? No. So encouraging to others. Fuck others. I'm here to make arguments, fuckface. I'm not here to pet people on the head and say, good dog. No, I'm not interested. Right or wrong. Whatever that could mean. Fuck you. Ugh, crap. Oh, and this asshole. Maybe you should take a look at It's BS. Yeah, I've done his channel before. If you type in a search on my videos, you'll find It's BS videos. He's totally unresponsive to any points made about what mistakes he's making. So, great. You think he's got the truth? Fine, go watch his videos. I say he's full of shit. He's got 2 things right and, 22 things wrong. Ugh. Fuck you. Alright. So, I'll take a pause and we'll go to the bruff comments. The comments on his retarded videos, which must be just spectacularly stupid. Ugh. Alright, back. Alright, so he's got 2 new videos. Now, one of them I think is just he's reposted the same video without the stupid moronic music on it. But it's the same video, and he's titled it Proving again. Okay, so again, he says this is proof. So he's totally ignored. I'm sure he's heard the argument. He's ignored that argument and just established that he's proven now something that no physicist knew. It's not in any logbook. It's not in any record. It's not in any school book. It's not in any high school book. It's not in any book anywhere. This 1.4 theory of velocity. So he thinks he has proven something that nobody else proved. Okay, half-mass object. So it doesn't matter, what circumstance. Doesn't matter whether you're using springs, you use something else. Doesn't matter. He's just claiming this is somehow a truth, and he proved it. So I mean, it just shows his arrogance. Again, you can't really understand the idea that, if I have a spring and I attach it to an object and the object is moving, this wall doesn't move. So the object is moving, okay, from the spring, but obviously as it's moving, it's pulling the spring away from the wall. It's taking the spring with it. You can't understand how that might make a difference? Doesn't it occur to you to say, yeah, maybe that makes a difference? Okay. Doesn't give you any reason to doubt at all. Though it's obviously given Stephen no reason to doubt at all. Because he's sure he has proven something. Never chronicled anywhere in physics. Okay? His hero-esque Madame Chartelet didn't know this fact. She never observed it. Okay. She never commented on it. Oh, amazing. Well, anyway, now he's got this stupid man-child versus actual child science. So what the fuck value could this shit have? Do we have any chance that it has any value, or if it's even on the subject? Oh, it looks like it's not on the subject. All right, we'll play it anyway. Fuck it, it's a video. It's better than just reading comments. But it clearly going to... Do we think there's going to be a physics argument in here somewhere? How much you want to bet? No physics. You want to bet? Alright. Actual child science. Charles wins because she is willing to learn. Yeah, we're not here to do this learning thing, Steve. Okay? There's a... this is a clear argument. There's no... that's not what people were doing back in Madame Chartelet's day. She wasn't doing any of this learning crap. She was making arguments advocating. Okay? It's really not the game you think it is. And there's clearly no honest effort to learn. Do you think conventional science is at all willing to learn? Do you think any conventional physics will learn from your experiment? Do you really think any of them will accept your experiment? You fucking idiot. Yeah, no chance. Whereas science denier, so again, he said it again, and now he's, cat killer. Yes, I have humanely euthanized cats, just like PETA humanely euthanizes cats. I've had that done to cats that had no hope of getting a home, having a life, except living in a cage. So, yes, I did the right thing. You're going to call me a horrible person. I'm going to call you an asshole. A little despicable weasel of an asshole. So you would shove the cat in a cage for 6 months until the town euthanized it. The town right now will take feral cats. Right now. And they'll even fix them. Well, they really won't. They'll force you to pay for it. But if they can't find a home for the cat, they're going to dispose of it. What do you think that means, shit for brain? What do you think is going to happen to the cat? Yeah, it's just going to be euthanized. So you do surgery, throw it in a cage, and then kill it. And you think that's so much better an idea. I think you're an idiot. A despicable, cruel idiot. Okay, literally dismisses all. Yes, all. So so why don't you just add to your crimes against reason and decency by saying something so hyperbolically silly? Okay? So you're that desperate now. You have such a weak argument you have to resort to absolute bullshit. Clearly I don't dismiss all. I'm the one defending Newton. Got a clue yet? I'm obviously not dismissing what Newton said. You are, fucktard. Shit. Just so ironic. Scientific progress since Newton. Yeah, just a big fat lie. Clearly, we did discover some things, but the fact is Newton got us to the moon. You didn't need all of that other crap to do it. Now, you needed to understand what molecules were, you needed to understand atoms, you needed a few bits and pieces. But, frankly, mechanically wise, rockets are Newton. It says there has been no scientific progress for 300 years. So I have never said that. So he says, he just writes it. Says there has been no scientific progress for 300 years. It's a complete lie. What I said is the theoretical physics needs to go all the way back to Newton and reconstruct correctly. Take all the bullshit and the woo out, okay, and redo their model. I never said we don't have escalators. I never said we never discovered how to fly. What I have said is entanglement didn't inspire the Wright brothers. They weren't inspired by some entanglement notion. Bent space didn't do it. Fucked hard. I think I could safely say bent space has been responsible for zero innovation. It hasn't helped at all. Okay, there are people in undiscovered tribes of the Amazon. Guess what? There really aren't any of those anymore. That's just sort of urban legend. There is no undiscovered Amazon tribes. who know we went to the moon, invented computers, tanks, planes, so all of this stuff. So again, this is such a straw man. I have never said none of that happened. So this is just such a lie. What I said is none of that needed entanglement theories or bent space theories or silly gravity is bends photons twice as much theories. What I've said is all of that crap hasn't contributed a dime to the progress of mankind. It's all a silly distraction. Okay. All right. Yet this laughably stupid old man. Well, you look a lot older, frankly. So fuck that. So he thinks it's a clever insult to say old man when he's older. I mean, he's got to be older, right? At least 10 years older, at least 15. Come on, look at him. For fuck's sake. Who doesn't know how any of these things work? So just more bold talk from a whatever toothless fucktard. All right. Preachers every day to his tiny audience. Yeah, again, I'm not preaching to them. I'm talking to whoever cares to listen, and that might be 10 years from now. It might be 20 years from now where somebody has cause to end up at this channel, and end up watching this video. And I'm talking to reasonable human beings and saying there's good reason to doubt this fake, phony, bullshit physics that you're defending. And you're basically defending now by being an overt shyster, because you're just totally ignoring the arguments that have been made about how your experiments are flawed, and now you're saying they're fucking proof. When no, they're not quite there yet. So you're the one making the bold claims you can't justify. You've proven a non-existent theory. That's pretty ridiculous, asshole. Okay, anyway. Listening to Gary's garbage via the internet. At home, warm, modern fuel, blah, 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 blah. By telephone. Again, I never denied any of our progress. You can just show me how, and like I said, the Wright brothers were inspired by bent space. Go ahead and show me how they were inspired by that silly theory. And yet those same pricks will vote him up. Some more of this crap. So he's bringing up other people. I mean, he's so fucking pathetic. Okay, and all the rest should be ashamed for supporting such idiocy. And again, your counter-argument is so obviously non-existent. All you have is a litany of insults, nothing else. You can't show a paper, you can't show a physics video, you can't show me one fucking Professor Lewin clip to defend your theory. Can't you find one physics professor doing an experiment that defends your theory? Can't you show one? You little Weasley piece of shit. Okay. While lying that you want to live in mediocrity. I don't know what this means. Bunch of coward liars, the lot. I hope your neighbors know what a dick they live near. So what is that implication? I hope the authorities know what a liar and son of a bitch you are, so they can figure out how you're gaming the system, because you're a shyster and a liar and a deceiver and a creep and a pedophile and a lot of other evil things. No doubt, you look just like one. That's all the evidence I need, right? You look just like one. That's all the logic I need, right? To spout fucking goddamn garbage like you've been doing for the last 6 months, you little lying piece of shit. You sack of fucking lying shit. Claiming I owe you anything. You lying sack of shit. Alright. The internet is... Persuade Gary and others to stop making false. No, yours are all false. You haven't been able to defend anything with any credibility. You're a shyster. You're a Ken Wheeler bullshitter. That's it. Okay. You're the one with the pseudo-scientific claim. So again, he calls somebody else's claim pseudoscience when I'm pleading with you to show me one goddamn scientific paper explaining your 1.4 theory. Show me one fucking paper written on the subject in the last 300 years. Show me one PhD physicist saying this is how it works. Show me that, creep, and then talk to me about pseudo-scientific claims. Yours are clearly pseudo-scientific. You produced no papers, no references at all, okay? I'm not even talking about videos. Not even a single reference, not a web page, not a Wikipedia page. Nothing, zero. And on top of that, you can't show me one fucking telephysicist, okay, one video making physicist describing your phenomenon. Not one. And then you claim somebody else is talking pseudo-scientific claims. Amazing horseshit. Amazing duplicity. Amazing hypocrisy. Can you go any lower? You really can't, you worm. Okay. For which they make no attempt to show supporting. Amazing! So I'll play the Professor Lewin. It gives me an excuse to play it again and again and again. I'll play the evidence you haven't refuted. You haven't explained. You haven't put in any context and say, well, I don't know why Professor Lewin's experiment didn't turn out like mine. Yeah, okay, shithead. Good. Thank you for giving me the excuse. Amazing. Making no attempt to show supporting experimental evidence, except for the fact that the experimental evidence I showed, for which you countered with zero counter evidence, at least by anybody who could do an experiment correctly. Yeah, oh, man, what a piece of scum. All right, this really will be, there's a point where you just have to cut it off and say, what's the point of talking to these irrational lunatics? These are such false claims. They're actually claiming they have evidence. They're claiming they've provided evidence. They've provided nothing. Absolutely no reference at all. It's not a scientific theory, and they're claiming it is. 1.4ism is not a scientific theory related to kinetic energy. It doesn't exist as a theory. Oh, what a fucking liar. So more of this Photoshop bullshit. From Newton to 1900s, those are the dead years. They added no value. We didn't get anywhere at all. So yes, so let's understand they really didn't get anywhere theoretically. Okay, they didn't get a better understanding of mechanics.
This 200 years is wiped out. Gone, rubbish.
Everything in conventional physics, in my opinion, for the last 100 years, they haven't gotten a single answer right. Okay, so it's all wrong.
But then he also wipes.
So why don't you show me what they got right? Show me the theory they have that's correct. Virtual photon, you think that's the right answer? Wave-particle duality, you think that's the right answer? Bent space, again, you think that's the right answer? Which part of this model did they get right? I mean, of course, yes, like I said, yeah, we found out there was electrons and we found out there was protons. But that wasn't about any kind of theory. That was just about having time to do experiments and figure out there was more elements. Newton didn't know there was 100 elements. I mean, there's lots of things Newton didn't know. Okay, but all of those facts aren't terribly significant compared to what he did know and what he did get right.
The next 100 years as well. The last 100 years is also rubbish, also wiped out by Gary.
Yeah, that's not the argument. The argument is what new theory did they produce that you think is right? So do you actually think electrons spin around the nucleus? I mean, all these points, do you really think that's the truth? They didn't even get plus and minus right, you moron.
So, what are the golden years, you may be wondering? The only contributor to science in 300 years just happens to be himself. The golden years.
Okay, just remember by the old saying, right? He who laughs last. All right, so you're getting your laugh, but the point is I have unified physics. I have explained things that haven't been explained ever, like the two-slit experiment. You've had 200 years. 200 years to come up with a rational explanation. Have you done it, idiot? No. Has your physics done it? No, idiot. They still don't know what a photon is. They have no fucking clue. Einstein, 2 years before he died, said, I've been studying photons for 50 years and I haven't improved my understanding in one iota. That's your reality, you retard.
A tiny sliver at the end. It's a piece away.
It's even smaller than that sliver, idiot. It's only 10 years that I've been working on it, right? I mean, 10 years that I took the fact that I knew they were wrong to the fact that I was able to say I know something, a better model is right. And again, he's too chicken to play my videos. So he won't play the videos explaining the simpler, more more complete answer to the question. He won't play those videos. Gravity, energy, light. He won't play those videos because he's a despicable little weasel coward. He'll just do this crap. A total preposterous exaggeration of my statement.
Oh my god. The sad thing is people will actually believe this nonsense. People will actually go along with it and think he's right. Oh yes, Gary is the only person in 300 years. You know, Alicia Shepherd, people like her, she will actually believe that, oh yeah, Gary's the only person who's made any progress in science.
But what if Fadio, who again was ridiculed by assholes like you, okay, and his theory was thrown out, what if it turns out he was right? What if it turns out that a guy 350 years ago had the right answer, and what did jackasses like you do? This crap. You're on that pile, asshole. You're going to be on the pile of assholes who stood in the way, assholes who didn't make any real arguments, assholes who just naysayed and nitpicked and weaseled out of having to have a rational conversation. Are you making a physics video here explaining how the physics is really good? That entanglement science is really great? That there's going to be a quantum computer any day now? Are you, the gravitational waves are coming? We're gonna create gravitational wave amplifying machines and have free energy. What part of this ludicrous garbage physics are you defending? Do I have to list all of it and then you can show me how it's made a great contribution to mankind? When the truth is, what was on the NASA computer that landed man on the moon? Oh yeah, Newton was in that computer.
In 300 years. And he literally says to us, he was saying the other day, if you want to get in on the ground floor, now is your chance. Get in on the ground floor, like it's a fucking pyramid.
Wow, I don't even know what that reference is. So again, it's just a bunch of little quote mining sentences. Isn't that very cute? So, go ahead and play those games again. We can all do that to Einstein even. You can, people can take little sentences he made and make them into a god botherer or something. So go ahead and play your little Weasley games, you stupid, useless turd. There's obviously no physics in this horseshit pile of crap garbage video. But let's play this part. So let's see. Obviously, their gravity theory is a pile of shit. It's obvious shit. So this is the funny part, that he's actually going to sit there and somehow defend bent space as some sort of rational answer to a question.
Bad physics.
If you're on about your fucking made-up baby shit, then yeah.
Okay, why can't you play my video then? If it's made-up baby shit, then why can't you play the video and debunk what it says? Why can't you show how what I'm saying in that gravity video can't be true? Why don't you explain how it can't be true? You weasel.
I'd agree with you. Load of old crap.
So anyway, this is child, teen, college student, grad student, expert. I haven't watched it. Watched a little bit of the child stuff.
So why would he play this part?
This
Why?
is too pathetic.
What were you honestly expecting to see, though? Seriously.
I'm expecting that we don't brainwash kids with fables. So if we're going to educate children about science, maybe they should talk about real science, and they shouldn't say things like, well, we've all accepted this silly, crappy theory, okay, for which there's almost really no evidence because the Eddington experiment really was never repeated, and the whole thing is just a fable, and it doesn't really account for anything. I mean, bent space doesn't answer any questions. Where did the bent space come from? How come bent space moves the same speed as light? Where does, how do I make bent space? Is there a bent space engine somewhere?
If you want an adult conversation, why are you looking at things like this?
I'm looking at them because this is what gets viewed on the internet as physics, you retard. You don't understand that? Oh, you're really too stupid then.
Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I think it makes perfect sense that people should talk about other people saying things that are absolute shit, and especially telling it to children.
So they're not explaining anything.
No shit.
So he's not playing the damn video, right? It's okay. Let's get to the part where I'm actually talking about the physics. No, so in one sentence he does all of this crap again. Oh, this is just such a waste of time.
Yeah.
I'm just baffled why you're even looking at this when you're claiming to be like the world's.
All right, so I clearly say in the video why I'm doing it. So he didn't play that part of the video, right? So he's not playing the whole video. He's not playing my explanation for why I'm doing it. I'm doing it first because these are people. This was the person who is the head of LIGO. Okay, explaining things. And I'm saying, well, obviously the head of LIGO doesn't even know what a beam splitter is and why they don't work. Okay, why they obviously can't be creating two equal beams. So I thought this was a rather significant person. We shouldn't argue with significant people. This is the woman who was the PR person for LIGO.
Can understand these simple concepts.
Well, first of all, that's not what you said when you were arguing with that 13-year-old. You were saying you can't possibly know what you claim to know at 13. However, when I was 13 years old, I knew this, I knew that, I knew the other. But you can't.
So now he has a vague reference to some other commenter or some other kind of bullshit. Yeah, obviously 13, we don't automatically say, gee, I'm going to listen real closely because 13-year-olds have really, they have life experience enough to get right answers. It's probably not going to happen.
And I've been asked to...
So she's one of these frauds.
Takes one to know one. Is that how it works?
So just think of a light bulb sort of in reverse. If a light bulb was shooting little pushing rays.
So he's editing the video. So even though he's playing parts of it, he just jump cutted the video. Fuck the continuity, fuck context.
You just think of it exactly the opposite. Just think, okay, what if they were pulling rays?
Only one problem with this theory. You didn't even know how a fucking loudspeaker worked.
Okay, so he thinks that proves the rest of my physics is wrong, and it's not even true. There's lots of different ways to make sound, okay? And there's lots of different speakers in the world. They have flat ones in your electronics now. They don't work like your speaker anymore. They work quite differently. Now they vibrate crystals. And clearly the ones in phones were quite different than the ones that were commonly used, speakers. So again, this is just horse shit.
You described what was in that completely and utterly wrongly, and you could look in that.
It wasn't completely and utterly wrong. It was just a quick description of the basic concept of the thing vibrating, retard. And again, you haven't countered the argument because you still can't prove to me that the thing doesn't vibrate faster than the speed of sound. Why don't you just watch it with a camera, a high-speed camera, and see how fast it's vibrating? You can see it when they put sand or something in a speaker. You'll see that the sand really is going very fast.
What are the chances that you've guessed how the fucking universe works? Correct.
Whatever. I didn't guess. So again, more horse shit. 10 years of hard work. So fuck you, you idiot. There's no other clips from me, so it's just more of his stupid, retarded, lying rags. Stupid, lying sack of shit. Alright. Enough of that pile of crap. Alright. So, let's do some comments and then we'll call it an evening. Ugh. God, you people suck. I just noticed something. Apparently he had videos unlisted or something and then listed them because there's new videos here. I don't remember this video being here before. What the fuck is this piece of shit? So there's videos I haven't seen yet. I guess I have to do more of this crap. Let's see, how long is that one? 10 minutes. This one's 2 hours. Oh, fuck. Well, let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny. Well, fuck it. We'll just do this one because there's clay in it, right? Clay experiments. So, yeah, I want to see that part. All right. We'll just jump through it for now. I don't know if I'll watch it or not. This is pathetically stupid.
Cars don't xylophone. They concertina when they crash. They don't xylophone.
Right, so this is what he's wasting time on again, this xylophone crap. I mean, why do you think somebody wants to waste their time with this, Steve? You know, if you have a physics argument to make, can you actually make it? Alright, so more Photoshoppy kind of bullshit. Like, everybody on Earth can't do this. Nobody else knows how to do this to somebody else's argument, buffoon them, put them upside down, do this kind of stuff. I mean, you're an ugly, stupid-looking character. You don't think I could make you look even more ridiculous? Yeah, it'd be really easy. Let's see what this is.
To test this. He thinks I won't test it, but I have. I've tested it, and he's wrong.
All right, so he's lying, because he didn't test it. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what a directional antenna is. You don't do it from this location and this location. You do it from exactly this location. You point it at this one. Do you hear it? Then you turn it and you point it at this one. Do you hear it? Well, you're not supposed to hear it, but they're supposed to be canceled out, right? That would be this location, where the path lengths are different. So at one of the dead spots, you put the directional antenna at one of the dead spots, you point it at that source and you'll hear it. And then you point it at that source and you'll hear it. And that'll tell you it's jamming. It's not wave interference. Duh. Did you do that experiment? No, but you're an idiot.
Wrong again. He's always wrong. I'm sick of the... I would love Gary to be right.
Oh, no. Yeah, this is just some more of your lies. You're always wrong, you asshole. Your stupid gravity pusher thingy. Every experiment you've done has a huge stinking flaw in it because you're stupid and reckless and sloppy. And you don't know what the scientific method is. So look what he's doing. Is that putting the object at... is that a directional antenna at the receiver? No. What's he doing? He's moving it to different locations. Did he put it on the dead spot and then point it at the two targets? No. So it has absolutely no value as an experiment. None. We already know this. We already know it's jammed, not jammed, jammed, not jammed, jammed, not jammed. That's the theory, you fucknut. The whole point is to do an experiment that proves it can't be jamming. That's your objective. Prove that it can't be jamming. And you can't figure out that you're not going to do it this way, asswipe. So look at all the trouble he went to not to do the right experiment again. And then claim he's doing the experiment I said would prove it. This isn't the experiment, shit for brain.
Another of Gary's experiments that he should have done himself, doing it to the exact requirements he specified.
So, big, fat, stinking lie. Does that look anything like the experiment I specified? I said directional antenna and stare at the two sources from one of the dead spots, from a place where there's no signal. Look at the one antenna and see if you can get a signal. Then look at the other antenna, see if you get a signal. If you do, it tells you the waves didn't interfere. It tells you the signal's still there. And that all that's really happening is when you mix two signals out of phase, your radio can't hear them. Duh. It's jamming.
Yet again, his ever-changing strict requirements. Yet another futile attempt to cheat the experiment. He wants me to have the receiver antenna to be made very directional and only ever pointing at one antenna, never pointing at the other one.
It's a complete lie, right? No, point at one, then point at the other. And if you hear a signal from both of them, that means the signal didn't have a wave interference problem. Retard. That means that the signals are actually getting to that location. The light is actually getting there. That's what it tells you, which means it can't be wave interference, asshole. God, he's so fucking dumb. All right, well, we'll play this just because. Let's see if he, it's clear any idiot. Oh, well, you're so stupid. I don't know if any idiot. Okay, so let me draw it real quick. I've only said this 7,000 times, but look, okay, you have spots, locations, on, off, signal, no signal, signal, no signal. So at one of these no signal locations, see, jamming, the geometry for jamming, see, here's your two sources, okay? The geometry for jamming, okay, is exactly the same as the wave interference geometry. If you wanted to find out where a signal would be jammed, you'd do exactly the same mathematics you would do to say, where is the wave interference? It's exactly the same geometry. Because jamming is, you have two signals, and if you put the two signals out of phase, okay, your radio receiver can't detect either one. right? The two signals, if they're out of phase, the radio receiver doesn't know what to do with this. It's not a frequency it can recognize, because what it's seeing is this. That's what it's seeing. It's not seeing this. It can't see it, because it's just energy at a pattern, and you've put it into a pattern it can't recognize. I mean, this is a real phenomenon. Everybody knows this shit, right? I mean, radio stations blip out. Well, this is the phenomenon. They sometimes blip out because there's a competing radio station that starts to get in range and it jams the signal you're listening to. This is a real thing that happens in the real universe. All right, so the experiment is you go to this location and you just directional your antenna. That is, you make your antenna so only, so it's very directional. So you can't get signal from other locations. So you can't get jammed by this antenna, right? So this antenna can't jam you by getting the signal in here because it's getting blocked. So you can look at this, and if you get the signal at this dead location, if you can hear this source, and then when you turn this way and you can hear this source, it means the two sources didn't interfere with each other. It means the two sources are hitting this location, and that all you're doing is jamming the signal. That's the experiment. I've explained it 50 times, and this asshole still can't figure it out.
Oh, it should be pointing down the middle. You know how the experiment goes, but he wants it to just point at that one antenna.
So, complete lie. I mean, I've never said any such thing. He can't play any clip from my video ever saying any such thing. The arguments are always in my video, so all of these arguments have been made in my video, so it's just a complete fucking lie. I never stated, just look at one source. Just looking at one will answer the question, though, frankly. If you can if you go to the dead spot and you put a directional antenna on and you can hear the sound from the one source, it means you've already debunked wave interference.
Okay, for anybody who isn't familiar with the Walter-Lewin/MIT radar interference experiment.
And it's not Walter Lewin's, it's just MIT, because clearly there's a videotape of the 1963 video of them doing exactly the same experiment, maybe with exactly the same equipment.
The diagram A represents the way Walter Lewin did it. The diagram B represents how Gary would probably argue it should be done with a curved surface, which I'm doing here anyway. And diagram C represents the greatly altered version that Gary wants to do to try and eliminate.
So that's a big fucking lie. So he's just too stupid. I don't even know what this means. Go to each location and look at the single source. I never said that. You have to go to where there's no signal, you dope. You fucking idiot. Ugh.
Interference by deliberately trying to eliminate picking up the signal from one of the transmitter horns.
No, eliminate jamming. Eliminate the possibility of your signal being jammed by preventing the jamming signal from getting to you. So if you prevent the jamming signal from getting to you, you're proving that the signal is still reaching the location. It didn't get wave interfered in space. It's still getting to the surface, you fucking idiot.
The horns at the far end are the transmitter horns, and the red horns at the front end are the receiver horns. And I've shown them in pink either side to show that they are intended to move left to right, to scan across and pick up a pattern, to pick up the interference pattern, which is normally done with sound. But Gary
yeah, I object to the fact that, yes, no, it's normally done by not doing things like that. Most good experiments mean that you don't add any extra complication. You do the experiment as simply as possible to eliminate any unnecessary influences or noise. You're very careful to do those kinds of things. Adding an audio tone is superfluous bullshit. The idea is to detect the actual signal, not to detect a song.
Yes, the sound, because Gary has this weird idea that if you didn't put sound on the experiment, you wouldn't get an interference pattern.
That's just a lie. I never said that. Okay, what I said is it just complicates the results. The fact is if you turn the signal on and off, you can turn the signal on and off in a lot of different ways. So again, he's too stupid to understand that this, physics is adult. I mean, you have to be aware of a lot of different kinds of phenomenon, you fucking idiot. So in the 1950s or the 60 experiment at MIT, see, Professor Lewin just says I put an audio tone on it, but he didn't show us what the audio tone looked like. Now the fact is you can have an audio tone that's digital. It's a square wave. The amplitude is either completely on, completely off. Or you can do this. All right? These are the same thing. Okay, if they were the same frequency, it's the same thing. Okay, they would both be saying, oh, it's a 1K, chopping of the signal. But obviously this amplitude is hugely different, right? There's only one point where you have a peak of energy. Where here, obviously, this is all the same energy. So when you overlap this, by overlapping these frequencies slightly, see these frequencies are now going to be overlapped, in phase and out of phase. So there's going to be an overlapping. You can understand that if it's in this form, okay, and you do the overlapping, and if it's in this form and you do the overlapping, it's going to be very different because, see, these are all strong ons or complete offs. And they're going to add up a lot differently than this little weak signal, medium signal, peak signal, peak signal. This is going to add up, make a mess. So ideally, you wouldn't do any of this breaking of the signal. You would just detect the inside, this frequency here, this very strong, gigahertz frequency. See, they're modulating a gigahertz frequency with a kilohertz frequency. And the ideal thing to do is just leave it alone. Okay, don't break it up. Don't make any messes. Just leave it all gigahertz. Straight gigahertz signal. Okay, so you just have the little gigahertz peaks. None of this sine wave crapola to fuck it up. No sine wave modulating. See, the gigahertz signal will be going like this, but because they're amplitude modulating, it's going like this. Okay, this is what the amplitude modulating is doing to a clear on. Okay, it's making it into I don't know, it's sort of half on, half off here. Yeah. So he's too stupid to understand that principle. That you're just making a mess of your fundamental energy by putting any modulating frequency on top of it. And I didn't even go into what happens when they try to demodulate. When you try to demodulate a sine wave, you end up creating 4 times the peak. You end up amplifying the peaks because you're essentially going to take a sine wave and make it into a square wave. So you're going to essentially, whatever your amplitude is, you're going to make a new square out of that, and that's going to mean, you're going to have more signal. Your demodulation process is going to amplify the audio.
Let's prove that later in this video. Okay, so here's a written summary of what's going on. We have the receiver antenna scanning left to right in all 3 cases. In case A, it's in a straight line. In case B, it's in an up.
Okay, so doesn't even have enough integrity to concede that obviously the mathematics is predicting the curved line. None of the mathematics does the work to straighten the line and figure out that you're making things fatter and fatter as you go out. You're changing the size and placement of the positions because the math is using one L number. The L is a radius, essentially. The source's distance to the target distance. That L number doesn't change in the math. That means that the L number is essentially a radius. And so as you go left and you go right, you have to go at that radial length or you're going to get wrong answers. Your math will be wrong. The math is predicting what's happening on the arc. And he's too stupid to admit that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. No doubt about that, the truth of that statement. But he doesn't know any math. The idiot. And so he doesn't understand that the geometry of jamming and the geometry of wave interference is all about understanding the geometry of the equations, the path length differences. and that the fact is the math has a standard for the distance to the target. One distance for all of the targets. Obviously, if I have a flat plane, this L won't be the right distance. This L isn't long enough to show what's here. It's only long. It's going to show you what's going to happen here, not here. Here. Fact. Absolute fucking fact. You know, impugned by this losing sack of shit, lying sack of crap.
Arc, and in case C, it's in an arc using a highly directional antenna which only points to one horn. But we still get the same pattern. Gary was wrong. Okay, folks, here we go.
Okay, so it's impossible if you're only pointing to one horn. So I doubt your antenna is directional. So you didn't prove it was. It seems you have the sources pretty close to each other. But anyway, go ahead and play your game. Let's see.
Again, now testing yet another of Gary's stupid theories. Sorry, testing another one.
Oh, no, what he did, he moved it to different on locations and said, look, there's still interference. So he didn't even understand. The principle is go to a location where there's no signal. Idiot. There's no jamming where there is a signal. Where there is a signal, there's no jamming, idiot. You have to go to a place where there's no signal, idiot.
Gary's desperate attempts to cheat the experiment.
All right, so he's cheating it, overtly cheating, overtly ignoring the parameters of the, the point being made, which is you have to be at one of the null locations, retard, and then point your directional antenna, retard, Aspergered, retard.
You know, he wanted to just point at that one antenna. Or that one antenna. I've engineered it with
So I never said that, okay? I said it would be a good idea to point it at both. From a null location. No signal. Go to where the signal is jammed. Where it's wave interfered. Okay, where photon plus photon equals no photon. Go to that location and then point it. Dumbass.
red, you can see this red rail here. That guides the angle of this, so it can only ever point at that antenna. So when I swing it across here...
So there you go, right? So it has nothing to do with the experiment I asked him to do. Absolutely not. He's still doing two path length differences here. He hasn't done anything to change the experiment at all. Oh, what a fucking idiot.
It's still pointing at that antenna. Yes? It's still pointing at that antenna. See what I mean? Because it changes the angle. And when I swing it this way...
It can't be a directional antenna and then go at any angle and point to one of the targets. That wouldn't be possible.
Pointing directly at the antenna now and completely away from that one. So according to Gary, this means that we won't have this pattern.
Energy everywhere, no pattern. I tilt it to the other source, no pattern.
So he played the clip again. So I tilt it to the other source. I don't swing anything. So how did you turn this? So you're just so dishonest. So he played a tiny little clip of the video, and clearly in the video I'm not describing what he's doing. I'm clearly not describing what he's doing. Clearly. All right, we'll go back a little. So
it can only ever point at that antenna. So when I swing it across here, it's still pointing at that antenna. Yes?
No.
It's still pointing at that antenna. See what I mean? Because it changes the angle.
No, I don't see it. I don't even see how this is a directional receiver. So I still don't even get how you prove this was directional. That is, it's filtering the other one out. Where did you establish that was even happening with your silly little piece of shit?
And when I swing it this way, it's pointing directly at the antenna now and completely away from that one. So according to Gary, this means that we won't have this pattern.
Energy everywhere, no pattern. I tilt it to the other source, no pattern.
So he played it, right? I tilt it to the other source. Not that I swing anything. I just turn it. So I point it to one source from one of these dead spots. I go to a dead spot. I point it at one of the sources, and then I point it to the other source. That's the simple experiment that he couldn't perform. He couldn't understand because he's stupid.
No, according to Gary, this pattern will disappear when we do this.
So this isn't according to Gary. You'll find nowhere where I described this piece of shit experiment that he's doing. And again, he's not even showing how this is directional. Where he turned one of the sources on and proved the other source can't get into the box. So he turned one on, then turned it off, heard it, and then he turned the other one on and couldn't hear it with the box. We never even got evidence that that's true. He never even proved that he can discriminate between the two sources. He's such a fucking idiot.
Energy everywhere. No pattern.
Okay, right. I tilt it. Not swing it, not move it. All I'm doing is taking the dead spot, moving it, pointing it to the source. That's all I do.
To the other source. No pattern.
Have you noticed he's always saying they should have done this experiment and they should have done that experiment. They. But when it comes to an experiment that he wants to take credit for, he says, we know this and we know that and we know the other. No, Gary isn't involved in any of this. He's an
Prove it. Prove whatever you're saying there. What, we all can't say we have seen experiments that are decisive and we really don't need to do them again? I've done some experiments. There, I just did that one. I just did an experiment. All right. So a lot of them I have done because they're simple enough, so I've done them myself. But I've seen the experiments done by professors. So again, you're the one who hasn't watched any of those videos. So I've seen a ton of experiments performed. Dumbass.
extremely lazy bastard. There's no we. It should still be they. They know this and they know that.
So we all can't learn by watching an experiment and say we all learned something from it. So if I see an experiment where they take a speeding bullet and do frame by frame video of it crashing through a water glass, I didn't learn anything. I can't say, well, I saw that. That was a stupid thing to do. No, that's the smart thing to do, actually.
Like a leech, it's just capitalising on the work that they've done. He's an extremely lazy bastard. He should be doing this work.
Why? Again, why should people who don't have a laboratory or any facilities do experiments? Why does that make sense to you? When there are people who do have the equipment and are not, nobody's commissioning them to do anything. There even could be looking for work. I'm sure there's people who are looking for work and they just don't know about my channel, and so they don't know I'm offering them real money to do these experiments. Tough luck, right? But that's the way it should be done, retard. Instead of your slop-ass, haphazard bullshit way where you never do anything the way you were instructed to do it. Ever. Ever.
If he thinks this experiment should have been done to demonstrate his claims, he should have fucking well done it.
So again, why would I fucking well do it? Why would I think I'm going to do this high frequency thing? Now, I have suggested I would have preferred if we, back in the day, I didn't even say it to you, well, maybe we can just go with something lower frequency, because all we really have to do is move the sources further apart, and we just have to have a little bit more room, because now the distance between the on and off signal might end up being 2 or 3 feet. Well, that's not that bad. And using a lower frequency signal makes the experiment a lot easier to do. But you didn't want to hear that.
Done it because I had every faith, had every belief, every reason to think that it wasn't going to do what he said. I had enough electrical knowledge, enough common sense.
So again, he was biased to start. So we already know that that's why he couldn't do the experiments I asked him to do, is because it's against his bias.
Knowledge to realise that this isn't going to prove broken photons at all. It isn't going to prove radar jamming at all, because it's a load of old fucking nonsense that he talks.
Okay, so this is just official flat Earth quality video, right? I mean, he's making these bold claims. He hasn't even shown that he is actually created an antenna that's blocking the other signal. He hasn't even shown anything like that. I mean, this is so incredibly bad for this bold talk from this shithead. He hasn't proven anything. He didn't do the experiment I said to do, and he hasn't even demonstrated he can do it because this doesn't look like a directional antenna, retard. Directional antennas have to have a cone of some kind on them. That's the only way they could be directional. Shit for brain.
Idiot. He's a giant, lumbering idiot.
And you're a terrible, lying sack of duplicitous, hypocritical shit.
He really is like a stream of bat piss. That's how much use he is to the world.
You're vomit.
And this is what he says. There's no pattern.
So again, never the experiment I suggested. Not even close. Wrong.
Will not make a pattern.
Antenna go up and down. You'll get energy up. You move the antenna. That is, if you have a directional antenna instead of an open antenna, and go across and up.
So you see right there, these are the bars. I went to one of the dead spots. See, this is a dead spot. This isn't on. This isn't on. This isn't on. This isn't on. Here I am right at the dead spot. And I'm saying you use a directional antenna. Look at one source. Turn the antenna to the other source. So he didn't do the experiment I requested. It's nothing like the experiment I requested. And on top of that, like I said, he didn't even prove he's using a directional antenna.
Now, if you have a directional one, you'll notice that you always get the energy from this antenna. So if you just tilt the antenna and go up and down, you'll get energy everywhere. No pattern. If I tilt it to the other source, no pattern.
Pointing at one.
So he's saying he's pointing it to 1. Okay, so what's the point I wanted to make there? You move it up and down. Well, it doesn't matter. The first experiment I claimed to do, okay, that was just a throwaway where I said move it up and down. There's still no pattern. You have to move it up and down to the dead spots. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, the dead spots, you're still going to hear them. There won't be any dead spot. That's right. You can't jam it. So he still hasn't shown that this is a directional antenna that doesn't see any of the blue signal. He has this red line coming here saying, okay, it's only getting red. There's no blue getting in. Well, where did you establish no blues getting in? Where'd you do that?
Did they do that with the radar experiment?
Notice the word they. Did they do the experiment? It's never him, is it? Funny, isn't it?
No, there's not funny. Why would somebody, again, what theoretical physics person does experiments? None of them, right? None. So that's perfectly common. And yes, as pointed out, I'm not here to do experiments. I'm not talking about experiments. I'm analyzing experiments. I'm not doing experiments. I don't need to do experiments. And the point is if you're going to argue for some theory that exists, why haven't you done the experiments? I mean, this isn't that complicated. These experiments are not that complicated, and you know that they have probably done them. And the fact is they don't turn out the way they like, and so they don't show those experiments. As I've shown out, all these experiments are engineered. That's why there's an audio tone on the radar experiment. It's because it makes it simple to take away all the nuance.
Did they do that with the radar experiment? Did they use, directional antennas to see if the signal's still getting to the surface?
More importantly, Gary, did you? It's your theory.
So again, more nonsense. I have no obligation to produce a single stitch of evidence. The evidence is overwhelming that already exists out there. It's their interpretation versus my interpretation. We have a ton of evidence, my interpretation against their interpretation. Where have they proven it's not jamming? When did they do the experiment to show the experiment isn't jamming? Where is it? That's the question, and you don't think they have to answer it. So they have all the money, all the resources, all the labs. They don't have to produce any evidence. They can just declare one the winner, and they don't have to prove it. So that's your standard. Well, I think that standard sucks, and I think you're a duplicitous hypocrite because if the reverse existed, you wouldn't accept it.
Which completely blows up any theory of wave interference.
Does it now? No, it doesn't actually, no. The pattern's still there. Oh, what a surprise.
Okay, oh, what a surprise. You did another shitty experiment with no details and absolutely no way to know that you did it right. No way to know that that antenna was truly directional. That it didn't let any of the blue signal in. Zero.
How many more stupid theories are you going to come up with?
Now, one thing I do know is that his rivalry with Ken Wheeler.
So why don't you make up some more fake evidence? Just like Ken Wheeler. You're a con artist, fuckface. You're just somebody who does sloppy experiments, no details. Ken Wheeler the other day threw a magnet in a stream, and you could see he threw it right next to where a crayfish lived, right? There's a crayfish there, because you can always tell where crayfish live in a stream because they have cleaned all the rocks around them. So in a stream that's got sediment, you know, where the sediment settles on rocks and everything, the crayfish keeps its little home very clean. So you can see a little foot around a spot, and you'll know that's where a crayfish lives. That's where his hole must be, because it's all clean. So he obviously put his magnet right where a crayfish lives. And then he shows the video of the crayfish next to the magnet and makes this, yeah, everybody knows crayfish are attracted to magnets. There's the proof. That's all you're doing, fuckhead. You're doing shit experiments. Are you going to applaud Ken Wheeler's great... Oh, it's good that Ken Wheeler does experiments. No, it isn't good that he does amateur shit, retarded experiments. It just makes noise in the world. People believe that horse shit. Just like they're believing you now. You're making these preposterous claims, and it's garbage science.
Is definitely motivated by narcissism. So rather than watch this shit video...
Oh, whatever. So it's a shit video. It's motivated by narcissism.
Sounds about right to me, though, Gary.
Yeah, well, we know who your fan is there, okay? This guy who steals other people's identities, okay, doxes people. You know, he'll upload content that he always accidentally made private. He'll still publish it. He has no ethics at all. Makes channels called Bad Ethics. That's your buddy, asshole. So we know who you hang out with. And why do you do that? Because you're a petty weasel. All you are is full of little bit of petty hate. Okay, and you can't get over it. You're a lousy, rotten, petty, stinking, cruddy human. Fact.
Looks like a duck.
Anybody who has watched any of my videos for any period of time
Needs their head examining. Guilty.
knows I find religious kooks quite irritating. And Ken Wheeler has clearly got a religious perspective about how physics works.
Maybe, maybe not.
Oh, fuck you. He sits there and knits his own fucking, Jedi robes.
Never got a religious vibe off Ken Wheeler. I just think he's capitalising on people's gullibility.
And it's not...
He's capitalizing on their will to hope the universe has some sensible truth lying underneath it all.
nonsense and idiotic, so of course I'm going to debunk him.
No, it's just a cheap video for you, isn't it?
Oh, whatever. Yeah, right. I don't care. So that's why I do the videos. It's because I don't care about the truth, and it's not an argument about the truth. I don't care. No, that's exactly the opposite. And you can lie all you want and make up your fake stories. Again, I'll make up fake stories about you, the pedophile. Okay, you're a creepy, whatever, adolescent molester. Okay, or baby molester. You like to babysit. Well, why would an adult male want to babysit? You got to have a creepy intention. There's no other way to figure that out, right? Yeah, that's all that can mean. I mean, what? I'll just make up these fake stories. You just keep making up these fake stories. The fact is, you have zero evidence I haven't done exactly what I'm doing right now my whole fucking life, which is question the authority and say, why are you doing that? What's the facts? What's the reasoning? What, would you think I'm against solar panels on roofs just for the fun of it? No, I'm against it because it's illogical.
Other people's work is just a cheap excuse for a video for you. That's all it is. It's the same as people debunking flat.
So this is a waste of time, right? This is just such a waste of fucking time. Where's your physics in here? You still haven't even shown me one shred of evidence that your 1.4 theory has anything to do with physics. Your square root of 2. You don't know any math.
What people have told you, you can find out for yourself. Because if you did the experiments I do, you wouldn't be second guessing your own experiments, saying, "Oh, well, my experiment."
I already did that, you idiot. So this is so out of context, right? I mean, the LIGO thing, right? Interferometers. I realized that this doesn't make any sense. So I did the experiments myself. I took a slide of glass, okay, and I shined laser beams on it, and I had mirrors on cans of beans, okay, and different locations on my porch. And yes, it's far short of ideal, and that's no good. But the fact is, I was able to make the pattern, without doing it the traditional way, just by having a little bit of moisture on the slide, and all of a sudden it was creating the bullseye pattern. No interference required. And, that was a giveaway that, yeah, it's true. Okay, the fact is that the beam splitter is, in fact, a diffraction gradient. You put a bunch of half-silvered crap on the mirror, okay, on the glass, and you're creating a bunch of little tiny openings, and the little tiny openings are diffracting the light. Durr. And what's your counter argument? There isn't any one. You don't have one. But I certainly wouldn't take my porch experiments and say, oh, I've empirically proven things. No. Like you idiot.
Experiments must be wrong, unless it were wrong, obviously. You'd use your common sense. Think, well, I'm doing the experiment as right as I possibly can, and it's getting different results than I expected. And hey, presto, you learn from it.
Yeah, that's what you should be doing, is learning that you suck at experiments. I mean, you can have this happen with a two-slit experiment, right? I mean, you start getting pattern going the wrong way, and you're saying, well, why is the pattern going this way? I'm doing the experiment this way. And you have to figure out what's fucked up. Is the laser fucked up? Is the angle wrong? Why is it doing that? Is there a reflection off of something? That's part of the process, but you don't want to hear that, and you don't consult anybody. So again, you don't do the experiment I requested on the radar thing, clearly, and then you claim you debunked it. Bullshit.
We're all learning all the time. Spend some money.
Oh, fuck this. Spend some money. Fuck you. Fuck all this horseshit. Do experiments badly. It's fun. It's good for science, for a lot of amateurs to do sloppy experiments. So let's see what this one is. So why has he got to waste everybody's time with this horseshit? Can't you just make separate videos doing your little sing-alongs and your little pony crap? Clearly, I'm not interested, okay? I'm not going to make a counter video singing some stupid song, about, like I said, the deliverance music, and then I'll put your image. Bing-a-ling, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, let's not waste our time doing that, you fucking idiot. You can't separate the fucking physics from this fucking buffoon shit. Look, I mean, he wasted time with his little taped up meter and this bullshit to sing us for an excuse for him to sing badly some more. Well, let's listen to the old man singing in the church choir.
I'm a fucking genius to you, isn't it? Like, by your standards. That bit moves twice as far as that bit, thus achieving the whole point of the experiment, thus achieving the whole point of...
Okay, so he's doing the argument again when the argument was, but the problem is the higher the velocity, the more likely you're getting skidding or something else. Now, this one looks like he's actually doing it against gravity, which surprises me. I didn't know he was launching the objects against gravity. I thought they were on a flat plane, so maybe we should play this and just see.
With a grinding wheel. That's how fucking...
So look at this shit. He's playing music over the video. I mean, it's just too retarded.
You gotta film every fucking operation. Yeah, film yourself gluing things together. Film yourself grinding metal there. Film yourself fucking going to the shop to buy something. Yeah, me generally doing what I'm claiming to do. I've just ground some up so that it's the same weight, so that two of those would be the same weight as one of those. So that really is now the weight of 4 coin, a stack of coin. That's 8 coin. So that when this rolls twice as fast, because of the levers, do you remember 5 minutes ago we were talking about levers? Remember?
So he's launching the objects against gravity. I mean, I haven't even thought about what the implications of what that would be, right? I mean, the faster object's going to go 4 times further in the gravity. So, just with having half the velocity. So clearly that would give the heavy thing a huge disadvantage in terms of by the time it hits the spring, it's lost a lot more energy than the lighter object has. So way to go, Steve. You fucked it up again. Yeah, I didn't realize he was shooting the objects up into gravity. I mean, from the video, you can't tell. I thought it was flat I thought it was a flat surface. I had no idea he was rolling the objects uphill. Fuck.
We forgot. We've got a very short memory. You've not forgotten. You were taking notes, weren't you? You weren't.
There was no point in taking notes. See, because you never even showed this image. You never showed us how you did the fucking experiment, you fucking dumbass. We had no clue. The image of it was, yeah, I should be able to do this. It should work. Yeah, the image we got was this. We didn't even get to see barely the lever, right? And, well, we didn't even see the end of the springs even in the whole thing. This is the view you gave us. Okay, there's no way to know that it was a flat surface. None of that was known. You fucking idiot. I thought it was flat. I didn't think you were shooting things into gravity, you stupid shit. How come that didn't work? Oh, that's right. I have to go over here. That should work. Hey, that was interesting. There it worked now. Okay. Yeah, I forget sometimes. I can do all, some of this stuff is sort of interesting. A little cube thing. It's kind of nice. Alright, anyway, this is getting tedious, so I'll watch it and see if there's any other revelations in here. So, I mean, obviously another hugely flawed experiment. Assuming that the force would be equal when obviously the heavier object will go 4 times less distance. So it's going to have a huge disadvantage in getting to the spring without losing. It's going to lose more energy. The longer it goes up, a tiny amount of going up for the heavy thing is going to lose it a lot more energy than the fast thing. The fast thing will keep its speed. What a fucking idiot. Ugh. Shit. Alright. It's just no point. I mean, this is too stupid. Ugh. God, I just hate this planet. I just can't. There's got to be somebody with intelligence on this planet somewhere. There's just got to be. I cannot be the only reasonable person on this planet. There must be other reasonable life forms. Oh, I forgot to say the saying. All right, so this has been a DraftPhysics.com video production and presentation. Yeah, there was no production. I didn't produce anything. All right, until the next time. And we still haven't gotten to the comments. Oh, fuck. The pain.